Today I want to talk about Animal Crossing. Now this game has a very big sentimental part in my childhood. I really love this game and what the game reminds me of. You see, I grew up in a time where going to Blockbuster was a normal everyday thing. And if you don't know what Blockbuster is and you feel like you can somehow own up to being so spooked in this video, then Google it and find out what Blockbuster is later. Anyway, so before buying games, my mom would always make sure that I would go to Blockbuster and rent out the game. My mom never wanted to spend her hard-earned money on a game that I'm probably only gonna play once. So every weekend we would drive up to Blockbuster, and one day when I got to Blockbuster, there was a new game that I never tried out before, just sitting on a shelf, and it wasn't rented. So I decided, rent it out and to try the video game myself. This was way before you get announcements about new video games coming out on YouTube and the internet. Like it was a thing, but it wasn't a thing that a child could use still. You still needed parental supervision. So I had no idea what games were about to come out unless my friends would tell me about them. But a good way that I could find out what games are out and to see if I even enjoy the games is by renting out the game of Blockbuster. And like you're probably guessing when this video is going, I rented Animal Crossing. And from the moment I got it until the moment we had to return it, I would beg my mom if we can take it for more time. Can we rent it for longer? And then once that time right now, can we rent it for longer? And once that time right now, can we rent it for longer? Eventually, my mom got very mad and just bought out the game flat out. I think she realized that it was, by this point, a cheaper solution just to give me the game. By this point, from what I remember, she probably paid for the game twice over. So it was a way cheaper solution to just buy me the game and to never hear about it again. This game stole hours and hours out of my life. I was addicted to playing Animal Crossing. The game devoured my life away. I really loved that game. So one day when I was playing, and my brother was over watching me play, he said, "What do you even do in this game? This game seems pointless." And I remember getting so defensive and angry and mad at him and saying things like, "You don't understand because you're older, so of course the game doesn't make sense to you. Wow, leave me alone and let me play the game. Wah, 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 wah." This was more than 10 years ago, and now I happen to be my brother's age at the time. And now kind of thinking about it from an adult's perspective, what the fuck do you even do in that game? What is even the point of Animal Crossing? In the newest version of Animal Crossing, I mean, it kind of makes sense. You are the mayor of the town, so you get to build a lot of little side projects, and there is a point to the game. But I'm talking about the original, for the GameCube. What is the point? In the old versions of the game, you literally get on a train to go and move into a town full of animals when you are a nobody. You literally took the midnight train going anywhere. And as a kid, I guess you don't give a fuck. You just want to move on with this little process and start playing the game as soon as possible. But as an adult, you gotta stop and think. What is the backstory to this? What is this game teaching to kids? The irresponsibility of these choices can lead to some horrible consequences. I'm not sure if you're aware of the statistic, but most homeless people happen to be runaway kids that grow up into being homeless adults. And the villager you are playing in this game is a runaway person. Then, once you arrive to your location, you automatically agree to a mortgage to a house. I mean, you're kind of put on the spot because there is no choice. You gotta sleep somewhere. So you're forced to take the first house that they show you. Do you like it? It doesn't matter, because you need to sleep somewhere. And this dude that sells you this house with no credit check, no contract, nothing of the sorts that would, tie you together with the financial responsibility of having to pay for this house throughout the remaining of its mortgage. Well, his name is Tom Nook. And once you agree to this mortgage, Tom Nook is shocked to find out that you don't really have any money to pay for this house. How dare you accept a mortgage that you were forced to take without having any money of your own? But no worries, because Tom Nook has a solution for you. You can just work for him for free until you pay off your mortgage. And I legit remember playing this game as a kid and thinking, wow, this seems like a fair trade-off. This seems like a fair solution. But now that I'm an adult, that's borderline slavery. So maybe you gotta play the game and find clues on how to free yourself. Maybe that's the point of the game, to achieve freedom. But no, There's no clues on how to achieve freedom from this deal. It's a free roam game where literally all you do is catch bugs and fish. What type of madness is this? As a kid, like I said, you don't care. But as an adult, nothing is adding up. Something isn't right. Maybe I can buy my freedom by paying off the debt. But no, every time you pay off the debt, Tom Nook just adds more debt. And you're stuck in this never-ending cycle of always being in debt in that game. And now that I'm an adult, I am convinced that you're a slave in this game. But what kind of place would want to enslave a stranger? What type of animals want to enslave people? And why is the main character not concerned about being bamboozled? He seems to not have a care in the world. And you know what? The answer probably lies online. When you log online, you find a bunch of theories and videos of people explaining what they think is going on in the game. In the second release of the game, you don't start in a train. You actually start in a cab. The cab driver of this car, his name is Captain. This is important, pay attention. Captain, he asks you questions, and that determines your facial features once you arrive to the town. So once again, in this version of the game, they're taking it a step even further. You're not just hopping in the midnight train going anywhere. You literally got in the cab and told the driver, take me to the middle of nowhere where only animals live and there's no roads. But what's strange here is the driver. The animal he is supposed to be, he's actually a kappa. Kappa in Japanese folktales are turtle resembling like creatures that steal kids and eat them. So, what if in the game, you're actually a child that died? And this is hell. I mean, seriously, think about it. A constant debt that never goes away, being surrounded by animals and not people. You're the only of your kind, and when you try to leave, you get turned away by the guards. There's nothing you can do to escape. On top of that, in the game, there's gyroids, which also in Japanese culture were buried with the dead. The game is full of them, which could also allow someone to believe that you have died. And every one of these represents someone else or an animal that has died. I had no idea what those things were when I was a child. And now that I'm 24, I'm happy I can finally rest easy knowing what those things are. I never knew what those things were, and it bothered me this whole time. But here's the one thing in this game that actually sends shivers down my spine. And when I found out about this theory, it kind of made me feel uneasy that this child game is like this. But in the game, your mother is constantly sending you mail. And in the letters, she's always emphasizing about how much she misses you. Another common belief with a lot of cultures here on Earth is that you can send the dead mail by putting it on their grave. And by doing so, they will be able to read it in the afterlife. The letters, when you read as a kid, just seem as an add-on to the game. Give the game a little fling and a little pizzazz to remind you that you're a child. But as an adult, the letters now make sense. I mean, seriously, think about it. You move to a brand new town. There is no instance in the whole game where you give your mother your address to be able to send you these letters. How on earth would she be able to send you these letters if you never told her where you live? And this is where the game just gets too spooky for me. So maybe when my brother said there was no point to this game, he had a valid point. This theory could be true. Since the game is meaningless and has no point, since the game sucks you into a void of nothingness and meaningless, maybe, just maybe, the theory can translate into real life. All the hours I spent playing as a kid, catching bugs, fishing for fish, collecting fossils, doing all these extra activities in the game to be able to pay off a debt that is never ending because my house just keeps getting upgraded more and more non-stop, took a lot of hours out of my childhood. Hours I will never be able to get back. And on top of that, just like the main character, I never questioned it. So maybe the kappa in the game actually got me. Whether they took me to the grave or I was in front of my TV playing this GameCube game, accomplishing nothing.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them blue for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed days, dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful